What's going on, everyone? So JaVale McGee's time with the Dallas Mavericks is officially coming to an end. Reports have just came out that the Dallas Mavericks are stretching and waiving JaVale McGee in order to sign Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris, I think, is a solid pickup for them. And JaVale McGee, for whatever reason, just didn't work out for them. He didn't get much playing time. He played in only half of the games. He only played in 42 games, only started 7 of them, and only played about 8.5 minutes. He was a 4-3 guy in those 8 minutes that were played. But there was all this talk, all this promise, all this hope. JaVale McGee's going to be our starter. He's going to be our starting center. We're going with JaVale over Christian Wood. And ultimately, it just fell to the wayside, right? So nonetheless, JaVale McGee's time is done, and he can now be a free agent and go and find another team. Obviously, there is like the Golden State Warriors that he has familiarity with, and they don't have anybody over 6'9". They did just sign that rookie or undrafted guy to an Exhibit 10 deal that is a 7-footer, but outside of that, they don't have any like veteran level 7-footer. So maybe JaVale McGee can come in. The Lakers, I think that we've talked about it in the past of like, hey, there's all these like murmurs that JaVale McGee is going to get waived and that Dallas is done with JaVale McGee, and now we are. Here we go. And now that this is happening, it's like, well, he does kind of make sense for the Lakers, right? He's a veteran guy that has experience. He is getting older, right? He's 35 now, but still, he's still a guy that in 8 minutes can give you 5 and 3. And that's all you'd be looking for anyway, right? He's still a real 7-footer with a 7'6" wingspan, a guy that could block shots that, he's not a guy that's going to come in and dominate the game of basketball for us, but he wasn't in 2020 when he was on the Lakers then, right? He was just a guy that came in and just played in spots, but was able to fill in and play his role. And that's all we need this year from him anyway. Right? All we need from him this year is a guy that can just come in, play your role, play your spots, wherever we need you. And there you go. We're good. Now, he only played 16 and a half minutes for the Lakers in the 2020 year, right? So we're only going to ask him to play 8 to 10 minutes anyway. You're just going to have him in spots. Jackson Hayes is going to be the first big off the bench. Or if the Lakers decide to start or whatever, there's still always the possibility that the Lakers end up landing Christian Wood, right? But then I don't think it's bad that you have your 15th roster spot, right? Like, so you signed JaVale McGee now. Now you got your 14 guys. If Christian Wood does say, I do want to come to the Lakers, okay, well then you just sign him with the 15th roster spot. And now you got JaVale McGee and you got Christian Wood. And Christian Wood is better suited at the power forward position than he is at the center position anyway. So now your center lineup is Anthony Davis, Jackson Hayes, JaVale McGee. And then your power forward lineup is, LeBron James, Christian Wood, Rui Hachimura, whoever else, right? Torian Prince, you could play there. Cam Reddish, you could play there. You got a lot of options there, right? Now you have the depth at pretty much every position. So I do think the idea of bringing in a JaVale McGee makes some sense, right? Like, I know I see a lot of people that are like, oh, they want Dwight Howard or they want, DeMarcus Cousins, they want this or they want that. But one, these guys haven't played in the NBA. At least JaVale McGee played 42 games last year, and he's been on, the court the last few years, unlike some of these other players. And it's just like, it's kind of like pick your vet that you want to play 8 minutes with. And I think JaVale McGee, he would understand his role. He would know his role. He'd be willing to play his role. And that's what you need from anybody you sign, right? You need a guy that's willing, hey, tonight, dude, you're only going to be playing 5 minutes. Like, hey, no problem, coach. Hey, tonight, we're going to need you to play 30, right? AD is going to take the night off. We're going to really need you to step up. And no problem, coach, let's do it. Hey, tonight, sorry, we're going to give you a DMP. We want to test, what does Christian Wood look like at center more with the other guys. So tonight you're just not going to get the burn. No problem, coach. We need those kind of guys. We need those veteran guys. We need those guys, right? There's not really very many centers left. The pool is very limited. Now, is he the best option? I don't know. It depends on what exactly the Lakers are looking for. right? As far as just like a body that can come in and provide that veteran leadership and play the role that is asked of him, I think yes. Skill set wise, I think, a guy like Myers Leonard, he provides a little more of that playmaking, that shooting, right? He's younger. But outside of that, it's like, okay, you have like Dwight Howard who's like 37, right? So he's in the same boat as JaVale McGee, and he hasn't played in the NBA for a year, and he was an issue for the Lakers last time they played together. And then there's, DeMarcus Cousins, who, look, I love DeMarcus Cousins. I think he would be solid, but the guy can't stay healthy. The guy, even in Puerto Rico, he got hurt playing there. He tore his groin or whatever, right? Like, it's just the guy can't stay healthy. The guy can't stay good. Hassan Whiteside is really somebody that I'm still of like I think that may still be the best option, but for whatever reason, the Lakers don't seem interested in him, which I can kind of understand, right? The reason he's out of the league is not because of his talent. The reason he's out of the league is because he was just too much of a headache. Locker room disruption, just character issues. Thought he was, Shaquille O'Neal in his prime when really he wasn't, and it just, teams got sick of it, right? Like, even if you look up the stats his last year, before he ended up going playing in Puerto Rico, he was really good. So it's just, the pickings are slim. Obviously, if you get Christian Wood or Bismack Biyombo. Problem with Bismack Biyombo, though, is he's not a real 7-footer. He's 6'8". He has the same, 7'6" wingspan or something crazy. Right? He's got, a ridiculous wingspan. But he's not a real 7-footer. He's 6'8". He's same size as LeBron James. Rui Hachimura. He just has more length. So, where JaVale McGee, at least you get JaVale. He has the chemistry with LeBron James. He has the chemistry with Anthony Davis. You could play JaVale McGee alongside Anthony Davis if you need to, and you already know what that looks like, right? Because he was the starter. And so you could have that outlook. It just, you more so than anything, it's a true 7-footer. That's my biggest thing. If all else fails and Biz is your last option, then sure, right? But I just think you get JaVale McGee now, and that way you don't have to worry about the center position. Don't have to worry about who are we going to sign, what are we going to do. And then if Christian Wood says, hey, I do want to come to Lakers, then fine. You sign him with the 15th roster spot. You're probably signing JaVale McGee to a non-guaranteed deal regardless. Same thing with Christian Wood. So at the end of the day, if for whatever reason, let's say at the buyout market, somebody becomes available and it's like, oh, all right, well, we'll just waive JaVale McGee, right? We'll just waive JaVale McGee and we can bring that person in, whatever, right? I don't think it's a big deal, but getting JaVale McGee now gives you that insurance. Because what happens if Myers Leonard, Bismack Biyombo, all these other guys, what if they do end up getting picked up? Right? What happens if they do end up getting picked up and then it's well, now what? Yeah, we'd have Colin Castleton, but is he somebody that you want to rely on heavily as a rookie this year? Probably not. Look, and I'm super high on Colin Castleton, right? I've hyped that kid up probably more than anybody, right? And so, but at the end of the day, it's worst case scenario, that's fine. If you have to go that route, I don't think it's the end of the world, but it would be nice to have that stability. You got the young guy in Jackson Hayes, right? You got him who he's learning the ins and outs and he's trying to, develop into his own. He's our development big, right? Which I'm okay with, right? He's a great pick and roll defensive big, all of that, right? But it's do you want to bring another one of those? I like the idea of a vet guy. And that's something I've preached here since the offseason, DeMarcus Cousins, a Hassan Whiteside, a JaVale McGee, guys like that, because that way we have the guys that have been there and done that. I like JaVale McGee because he's been there and done that. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, he's not going to be nervous, he's not going to be scared, it's dude, I've been here. I've won these games. I've won championships. I've been on teams like the Warriors. I've been on teams like the Lakers, right? I like that, where you don't have to worry about guys showing up on the biggest stage, where you get a guy like Jackson Hayes who He's like petrified. And he's just nervous. Like, oh, what if I mess, or you get, Colin Castleton. It's like, who's a rookie, and it's like he's petrified. He's scared, right? You get the vet guy. You can rely on him. You can count on him. He knows how to guard Jokic, right? You're never gonna stop you're never gonna stop Jokic, but you can slow him down. You can prevent him from going off for 40, right? Like, I think JaVale McGee provides a lot of that. And I like the idea of just getting the security blanket now, right? Getting the guy now that way you don't have to worry about it. And then if Christian Wood comes, now you have 15 roster spots. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine, right? And I've even seen people say like, oh, the Lakers don't want 15 roster spots because they don't have the money. Like, they're fine. Like, none of these guys are going to be more than a vet minimum. They're still like $8 million under the tax. They could actually give extra money because they have money left over because they didn't use the full mid-level. So, like, it's not a big deal. Like, they're fine. So signing JaVale McGee to a vet minimum deal and signing Christian Wood to a vet minimum deal it's not going to change anything, right? Like, the Lakers will be fine. But just something else that I've seen a lot of people like, oh, they're not going to sign 15 people because they're hard cap. Like, yeah, but they're far enough away from the hard cap. It's okay. But get the stability now. Go get a JaVale McGee, right? Go get somebody like that you could come in, you could trust on and rely. Be honest. Let him understand his role. Like, hey, dude, just so you know, like, you may not play every night, but Anthony Davis is going to miss some games. You know how this works, right? Like, I just think that it would be the best course of action, right? And I think now you don't have that concern of come all of the Dame trades and training camp starts catching up and all that, and you're like, oh, well, we still don't have a center. Christian Wood, what are you doing? Oh, no, Christian Wood's going to Miami. JaVale McGee went to, the Warriors. Myers Leonard went back to Milwaukee. Like, and it's like, well, who do we have left? Like, at that point, you only have Dwight Howard and DeMarcus Cousins. So I'd rather get the guy now. Get the experience now. Get a guy that has the understanding and chemistry with your two stars, because he was on that 2020 roster. So you're bringing him back, right? I've also seen a lot of people throw out like, hey, like, no more rehashes or whatever. But, like, I think that's silly. If we didn't rehash Dwight Howard, he wouldn't have won it. He was one of the biggest pieces for an NBA championship, right? He was huge. Like, do you know how many times the Lakers have rehashed guys and won because of it? Right? Like, if JaVale McGee could come in and play his role, I don't care about I don't need a new guy. I don't need Hassan Whiteside because we've never had Hassan Whiteside. Sometimes the enemy is better than the enemy you don't. Like, it's better to know what JaVale is going to provide and going to give you, how he's going to be in the locker room, how he's going to perform on a nightly basis, than it is to go and get somebody else. Because all these guys are all unemployed for various reasons right now, right? At least JaVale McGee was just employed, and, it just didn't work out, and they want to go a different direction, right? But all of these guys are playing in different countries and stuff like that for a reason, right? So it's like, which one would you prefer to take a chance with? At least JaVale McGee, you know what you're going to get with him, right? Like, could someone else have more upside and potential? Sure, right? But why risk it when you already have your core guys anyway, and anybody that you get isn't going to play much? Yeah, Myers Leonard might be the better overall player, but is he going to be okay with only playing like 8 minutes a game, if that, right? And not playing every game and stuff, right? Like, it's just something to keep in mind. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you like, yes, go sign JaVale McGee as soon as he clears waivers and all that stuff? He's still got to go through the whole process. But once he does, would you like him? Do you think, nah? Look elsewhere, get somebody else. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.